So what is going on, guys? NanoPit93 here with another video, and sorry I'm battling a little bit of a cold and that's why my voice is a little weird. But today we're going to talk about a few things, right? The main thing is I want to review this product that I got because I've been in the market for an external SSD for a little while now. I've been kind of living off of my internal storage of 256 gigs since I got the iPad about 7 months ago, and now I'm down to about 90 gigs. And I told you guys about my issue with LumaFusion, where that's my main editing app, right? And in order to use the editing app, you need to have a copy of the files that you're editing in the Photos app, because when I airdrop them, that's where my clips go from my iPhone 11 Pro. And then when you start to edit them within the LumaFusion app, LumaFusion starts to create another file of that same clip. So there's your second redundancy of that same file. And then when you export the entire project, when it's done, there's another file, right? So what I started doing was organizing my Files app, and I'll make a video on how I organize my Files app in general, because people have been asking me how I use my Files app and what the best way to kind of navigate it is. But what I did was I created a LumaFusion project file with 2 separate folders in there, one for thumbnails, one for finished projects. So my plan is to move both of those folders to the external SSD, as well as all the files that LumaFusion automatically saves within LumaFusion. So I want to see if I break away all of the save files out of LumaFusion and put that on the SSD, I wonder if when I open up LumaFusion it'll still work the same. Basically, when you run like Final Cut Pro and all the data off of an external SSD on a Mac, I want to see if it works the same way on an iPad, because I can't really find much information on it, so I'm just going to test it out. Hopefully I don't lose all my files, right? But I'm going to show you guys the SSD that I got right now. I really like it. I already opened it, but I'm going to go through the unboxing experience with you guys because it was pretty nice. And I was debating between this one and the Samsung T5. So they're relatively the same price. The one I chose is a little bit cheaper. Sure, Samsung's a little more reputable, but so is this brand. So let's hop right into it. So this is it, guys. I went with a company called RavPower, and I've heard a lot about them for like having good chargers and, you know, fast chargers, PD chargers, charging hubs. But I guess they came out with a new portable SSD to compete with the T5, and I figured it's got great reviews. It is $5 cheaper, and there was a $10 coupon that you can just check off on Amazon. So it was actually $15 cheaper than the same with the same capacity for the T5. So I'm gonna open this up, kind of show you guys what to expect. And the beauty of it is that it's tiny, right? This thing is very small. So you kind of open this up, you're greeted with a bunch of paperwork. Let's see, we have RavPower. This is kind of cool, $20 Amazon gift card for leaving a review, and I guess you have to like prove it, so it's probably a little bit of a process, but that's 20 bucks if somebody wants to go through with that. And then this is the device, guys. Like I said, it's tiny. Size of your hand, fits right in there. It's USB-C. That's the one and only outlet. It's got like a shiny, reflective top finish, and then the bottom is kind of like a matte metal, and then you have the trademark stickers and the safety sticker right here. So that's the main reason I got it, right? It was the same capacity, lower in price, and look how small this thing is, right? It's a tiny little device, and it'll fit in any bag. I do wish I had this for my minimal travel tech bag, but let's see how this works, right? Let's continue the unboxing. It's amazing how good unboxings have gotten, even for something as trivial as an SSD, right? So in here you get USB-C to C, so that's nice. So that can plug in directly to my iPad. You also get a USB-A to C, so if you do have a computer without USB-C, it also works there. And, oh nice, and a little traveling sleeve for the guy. So you can put that in there, throw your USB-C cable in there, and then you're all good to go in this tiny little package. So it's 500 gigs worth of SSD storage in there. And to go over some of the specs real quick of how fast this transfers. No mention in the paperwork to see how fast speeds actually are, but that's why we're going to test it, right? We're going to test it in, plug it in directly to the iPad, see if there's any installation or configuration that needs to be done in order to actually set it up. So I know when you get an SSD for a normal device, right, there is some sort of configuration to kind of set it up, like install their software and things like that. So I'm going to seal this up, we're going to plug it into the iPad and kind of go from there, guys. Let's see how this works. So as you guys can see, I have my iPad right here, my iPad Pro, and like I said, 256 gigs. And if I go into the Files app, I was checking, you can go onto the Saved on My iPad view right here, and it shows you I have 90.91 gigs available, right? And here's what I was talking about, right? So, like I said, if you go into the LumaFusion folder, there's 231 items inside of the project's backup folder. So obviously it's taking up a lot of space with all those different clips in there that I've imported in from my phone through AirPlay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just plug this in, see if it works. And what I mentioned over here, I created my own LumaFusion's folder to have the different thumbnails that we have in here, as well as all the different projects that we've worked on recently, right? What I want to do is move those over into this guy, and then also see if I can run, so I move this entire LumaFusion folder into here, and that way LumaFusion will just work off of this SSD as time goes on. So let's try it out, guys. So this should be as easy as plugging this guy in, and since this is USB 3.1, so USB-C 3.1, it should provide enough power to get this going. So let's charge this up. Okay, so I plugged it in and it looks like it showed up. So if I click on the RavPower, it's empty. Also, I don't really know. So if you guys know how to check out how much space is inside of an external hard drive, please feel free to comment it below and let me know. Let's try this out first. We're gonna move this LumaFusion project, hold it down. We're going to move it into the RavPower. Now it's copying it over. Let's see how long it takes, guys. So as you guys can see, it is kind of loading up right now. It is taking a little while. I'm looking at about, let's see how much is in here. These video projects are each like 2.5 gigs. So we're looking at that. I'm moving about 8 gigs of video over here, and then a couple megabytes of actual pictures over here. So that's probably why it's taking so long. Okay guys, so this is my first real experience dealing with an external SSD on an iPad. So I'm kind of playing around and learning as I go. But I do think that it moved over. So if I double click on here, so as you guys can see, I'm in the RavPower. On the iPad, it's still there. Double click on it, and all my video projects seem to be there. And if they do open up, they should be able to play. And it does. So everything moved over fine. If there's a way to check how much info, like how much space is taken up, I wish I could tell you, how much essentially I'm taking up over here. Again, if somebody knows how to find out how much total storage I'm taking up or how much storage is left on this SSD, please let me know, because I really don't know. So now the next thing that I do want to try is maybe moving all of the LumaFusion files over to this SSD, right? So if I go into here, and like I said, look how much LumaFusion there is. There's a lot in here. So after testing it out a little bit, unfortunately I can't move over like LumaFusion's native application over and off of my iPad, because that's how it runs. So we're still living in an age where you can't totally run it off an SSD. The SSD will help with organization and moving some of the files away. And also, like, let's say there's a bunch of files or projects in there from months ago that you don't really need saved onto the iPad natively. Those you can move over, which is inside of LumaFusion, inside of the photo library, which shows you every single image and video that you've ever put in there, as well as if you go into the project backups, it shows you every video that you've kind of put into every individual project. So you could technically you could move all these over into here, but the whole LumaFusion app, it won't let me move it over. Like if I hold it down and try to drag it, it won't let me go into the RavPower, because it is built with the native code within iPadOS. So hopefully that changes in a future update. I do know that within LumaFusion, if I had something in here, I could open up and import the video file from here into the LumaFusion app directly, instead of going into here, then into Photos, then into LumaFusion. So that's helpful. But for now, you guys know that you can't work off like a traditional, you cannot work off an SSD like you traditionally would be able to on a Mac computer. So there is another limitation that we have to fix from an iPadOS perspective. Again, so overall, I do think it's important to have an external SSD, especially if you're working with large video files or large files in general when it comes to your iPad and iPadOS. So RavPower is a great alternative to, the traditional Samsung T5 or getting like I think it's like a SanDisk or a WD or Western Digital. So, I mean, this is what I like to do, give smaller companies a try. I know RavPower isn't like a tiny company. They've been around for a while and helping people charge their devices for a very, very long time. But I wanted to give them a try because of the price, the portability, and functionally it does what it's supposed to do to an extent. It's not like this isn't the limiting factor. It's iPadOS that's a limiting factor, and maybe even LumaFusion is a limiting factor to how ideally you would want to be able to run all of LumaFusion off of this one stick. So in order for you to use LumaFusion on the iPad, you need to plug this in, as opposed to the other way around where you can use this just for the files, but LumaFusion still makes redundancies of those clips, which kind of takes up space anyway. But overall, like I said, I like the device. It's a great price, very portable. Love the accessories that it comes with, a couple USB-C to C cables, USB-A to C, the little pouch that it comes with. So highly recommend. I'm gonna link it below if you guys wanna check it out. And if you guys see if you can integrate it into your normal workflow, then that would be awesome. So if you guys made it to the end of the video, don't forget to follow me on Twitter right here. I'm still doing the giveaway, 5,000 subs here or 500 followers on Twitter, giving away an Apple Pencil 2, and I just hope to keep doing these giveaways to kind of get back to you guys. little by little. Like I'll do a bigger one at 10K, maybe give away an iPad or something. That'd be amazing if we can kind of speed up to that situation. But that's gonna do it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much, and until next time, peace.